start by reading the Sunshine Law. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been posted. Roll call. Sil McAvoy.
Here.
Diane Podesky. She had indicated she might have some problems.
She's here.
Robin Sudan.
I'm here. If you could hear me.
Okay, somebody needs to. Arnold Smith.
I am here.
Okay, Stan.
Here.
Walter Andrews, I'm here. Paul Walensky.
I'm here.
Ted Chase.
Here.
Jessica Johnson.
I'm here.
And I'm sorry. Is it Maria Santiago? Did I get that right? I'm sorry, I didn't update my list here. Ms. Santiago, is she on?
I haven't seen any indication that she is.
Yeah, maybe she.
Oh, she's in attendee. Let me upgrade
okay.
her. Okay.
So she is present in a sense.
Yes, she's coming on now.
Okay. Hello. You're present. Okay.
Robin's
So-
having a hard time joining.
Yeah.
But I couldn't unmute myself until now.
Oh,
Because you were using attendee link. That's why.
Yeah, we hear you now, Maria.
Okay, that's fine.
all right.
Okay. I'm going to mute myself again.
Okay, Stan. I guess I should learn to share the agenda, but
Well, hold on a sec because Robin's having a hard time joining.
oh, Robin. Okay.
So I'm gonna resend her the link.
The new link.
Yeah, the corrected one, because the other one was missing some characters. Try this link. All right, I just sent it to her. Come on, Walter, you remember we went through how to share.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for my share. Hold on here. I don't see that video.
Stan may have to give you permission to share.
Okay.
I'm trying to go through things. I think I have to make you presenter.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, if everybody just printed out the agenda and had a copy of it in front of them, then we wouldn't have to deal with this.
Well, if everybody does, I don't need to do that because I have a hard copy here as well. But I will work on that, and I appreciate it. So if we follow the agenda, we've done the roll call. The chair report is next, and basically, I just want to remind you that Anne Marie, I guess, sent out, if you were continuing or had re-upped, if you will, for the Environmental Commission, you had to be sworn in, and she's doing that. You would have to print out.
Walter, I did not get that email.
I didn't either.
You didn't get that email?
No.
Well,
I didn't
not
get one.
everyone. Only,
Just for people
Oh,
that,
just going to terms expire.
right.
yeah. So those who, I was one, I believe, I don't have the list here, about 4 people.
Be careful when you print it out. When you print out that oath of office, the date on there is wrong. It comes up that it expires January 31st, 2021, when it should say December 31st, 2021. So that means your oath of office is only good for a month. So
So it's good for this meeting.
Everybody that did that oath of office form, print it out again, take a look at it. Because
Yeah, I kept a copy of mine. I'll double check it. My goodness.
Typo, yeah.
Yeah, I put it in the drop-off box in front of the safety building, but
Well, I don't think think she's gonna catch it, but you take a look at it.
Oh, shit. Oh, my goodness. All right. And in addition, they require the chair or somebody to report attendance. And I put in the attendance through the end of the year. And I think she requires that every quarter an attendance report goes in, and I'm keeping up with that. I don't think I have anything else for the chair report, so we can go right to the minutes. So has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes, read the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, been moved and second that the minutes from the, the December 21st meeting be accepted as presented or whatever read. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the minutes are accepted. Great. So what I do now is I ask Bob to post them since they've been approved. Okay, and I'll have to do that after the meeting. Website, mail, social media. Anything new there?
No, and you know what? I'm having Walter. First off, you're now the presenter, so you can share your screen.
Okay.
I've been having trouble logging in, so I sent a note to Jennifer Kropansky because sometimes the security systems for email, when it's been a while that the password hasn't changed, sometimes it automatically changes and they don't tell me. So, which is what happened last time. So I sent an email. So I don't have an update, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I know we had talked about trying to be more proactive about doing regular social media posts. So, I mean, is there something from, you know what, maybe I'll just bring it up at the end. If everybody could keep notes, and if there's something you think that from this meeting we should ask to be posted to the town's social channels, let's keep that in mind.
Oh, okay.
We can add it. But I think it's worthwhile to take something from each meeting and post it.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Very good. Excellent.
Robin made it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Week. Oh, you're there. Good. Everybody's on now.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. Plans review. I sent out what Mark Healy had shared with me. And I don't know when anybody, in terms of, he also shared a particular email that says, here are all the ones that we recently reviewed, and take a look at them and see if you commented on all of them. And I asked Paul if he would just check, because he posts while he responds to with our plans. So let's start, Paul. Were you able to find any that we had?
Well, I went through the list and I found ones that she had that I had commented on, and I sent those in to her again. But the one, this Executive Drive investment, which is the warehouse on Elizabeth Avenue, it was a new application or a revision, which we hadn't commented on the revision. What the revision is that they reduced the size of the warehouse from 63,000 square feet to 48,000 square feet, because I think there were objections because of the wetlands. There was a drainage way and that kind of stuff, and they had to have a buffer, so they made the warehouse smaller. This was one that we had suggested solar and a green roof, and they commented on our comments, which I thought was interesting. They were going to consider the green roof, but not right now. They do believe that their mitigation efforts are sufficient, but they're willing to look at it again in the future, which means maybe they'll never do it. But at least they commented on it. I thought that was progress.
Absolutely.
But then they're taking down 828 trees, and 509 qualify for replacement, which means 319 go to the tree fund. So, hear what they say. I actually wrote it down. green roof may consider in the future green stormwater measures, buffer or significant enhancements and exceed approval levels, as well as the detention basins. I think we can still reinforce the comments. There's still room for a green roof. There's still room for solar cells. Bet there's a little smaller, but I think we should just resubmit what we submitted.
Okay, even though it's smaller.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's another bite at the apple.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, the other one that we did send in before.
Paul, hold on just a minute.
Sure. Okay.
Robin, you had some comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I don't remember the original comments, but I drove past there today. And that is a forest. You know,
yeah.
Right where the house is a little more open, but that's literally, it's not a stand of trees, it's a forest they'll be taking.
It's a woodland. They said it's a forested woodland or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of value to the general stormwater management and climate change, it's huge. So I really hope we make some traction, because more things like this go on, we're wiping out our own resilience.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I said we should not accept it the way it is, their comments. We'll just reinforce it again.
Well, I have one question, Paul.
Sure.
If they're going to make the warehouse smaller.
They did, yes.
Do they still need as large a parking area and impervious surface?
They did cut down the number of parking spaces. Yes. I get my page here. Okay. Let's see, parking et cetera reduced in accordance. They have reduced the size of the parking.
All right.
So that could again be a place for pervious pavement.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that would be another suggestion in the parking area where
it was, I think, and we'll just, I'll reinforce that one as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah. What it said was that reduce in accordance. Oh, the reason they reduced the size is the Delaware River group. They're in a stream corridor.
Automation.
Yes. Yep. Okay. So that's one of them. The next one.
They have clout that we don't.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, that shrunk it by 20% basically.
Right.
Well, they should. I mean, it takes up almost the entire lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one that was the school, which we did comment on, 150 Pierce Street. That's where they're putting the second story on the school. Right. And we again suggested a green roof and pervious. They're going to expand the parking lot. So again, I think we already made the comment about pervious paving for the parking lot, but we can do that again. And they've got a bio retention basin, 3 of them. And then see this, where the school is, that was part of a bigger site that goes back to the 1950s or 80s when they divided up and made World Square Drive and cut into Pierce. So the whole thing is part of that original plan.
Yeah, that was the 80s. It wasn't there in the 50s.
Right, it was the 80s. That's because I know Franklin Square Drive was built in the 80s. That was 86. That's the building I was in. So so we'll do that one.
Route 287 wasn't there in the 50s.
Right. It was a farm, wasn't it?
Yes, that was all farmland. Yeah.
Now there were all the.
Rubin had a chicken coop back on Davidson.
Now that should have been it should have been good soil with all the chickens.
While we're literally talking about this and improving a parking lot, under the new stormwater management regs, there's new guidelines about how much you disturb before you have to use green infrastructure.
Yeah.
So think about this when we get to talking about our stormwater management suggestions, that when you start increasing your parking lot, we want to be triggering the stormwater ordinance that's going to require them to use one of these features, one of which is pervious surface.
Right.
So right now, it's just a kindly suggestion from the Environmental Council. For example, Paul, in that application, do they tell us how much more square footage they want of parking?
Just say, I didn't write that down, but it did say they were gonna expand the parking lot because they're gonna have more teachers if they
Yeah,
put the second floor on.
So this kind of, we have to be able to quantify how much they're expanding. So we'll
It's in the
have a sense.
application. I can find it.
Okay, but that's just so everybody has a context for the stuff we're going to talk about later.
Right. Now, there are 4 other new ones that I hadn't seen before.
Paul,
One is,
before you get to those, I think for any of these plans where they're removing a lot of trees, especially that first one that you were talking about.
Yeah, the warehouse. That's a big.
I think in just about any one where they're removing a lot of trees, in our comments, we should cite the proclamation from the Township Council about the expanding tree canopies in the township, not reducing them.
Right.
Yeah.
And also there's it might have been 2017. We can get a copy of that. And then in 2018, I might have the years reversed. The council did a resolution about global warming, and it's talking about similar stuff. I think those should both be cited in our comments to anybody that's removing a lot of trees, and saying and using that as sort of a little bit of a hammer to get them to do a green roof or some other kind, whether it's, some other kind of, solar panels or whatever.
Right, right.
But more so green roofs, because you're adding to the, to the vegetation, at least when you're taking trees down.
Yeah, I mean, at 48,000 square feet, they've got an acre.
Yep.
On the roof.
More than an acre. Yep.
Yeah. Now,
but I think we should cite it should be just every time when they're taking down trees, cite those 2 documents, the proclamation and the resolution.
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead, Robin.
Sadly, there's no teeth in that canopy resolution. No. And that would be a next step if we could get to a point to say, listen, we've made a commitment to this canopy issue. Let's put teeth into it by having it somewhere in an ordinance.
Well, that's what, I'm sorry, go ahead, Robin.
And we haven't addressed that in the stormwater management, whether that would have to be a separate thing, but I think that should go on our to-do list. How can we put teeth into the tree canopy ordinance?
By tying it to the stormwater regs.
And that's what we did, isn't it? We put that.
No, but I mean the canopy. The proclamation.
Canopy is not in here, but it could be our justification to the township professionals and the council about why we should do the ordinance. Okay, I get it.
Okay.
A further comment might be, so when are we going to use some of that shade tree money to plant more trees? Not just along the streets, but actually
reforest.
Creating new forest.
Yeah. I think
that money can only be used for township property, right? You can't use it outside the property anymore.
It might be challenging to find a spot.
Yeah, it is township property only.
Yeah, yeah.
I can think of one place. If you go out Saddam Road, there's township-owned land between it and the end of People's Line Road that's basically brush. And perhaps real trees could be planted there with suitable protection against deer.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, if that happens to show up in the minutes of tonight's meeting, if whoever's taking the minutes happens to say that, I will bring that to the attention to the Shade Tree Commission.
Wonderful.
Arnie, speaking of the Shade Tree Commission, I just had 2 dying oak trees taken down. This was
the lantern bug, the spotted lanternfly.
No, this is emerald green borer beetle.
Oh
yeah.
You can't see how green it is, but it's very green.
So you collected those as they were taking down the tree?
I found it in the sawdust as I was cleaning up.
Absolutely.
And I'm just hoping my other trees don't have them, that it isn't spread.
Okay.
There are there were a couple of the new ones that I haven't seen before, and I don't think we've discussed at all. One of them is.
I'm sorry, Paul, but if just sticking with what Ted was just talking about in Seal, I'm sorry. If anybody else has any other sites that they think, township property, open space properties or whatever, that they think are places that we can plant trees or trees should be planted, if you don't say it now, or if you want to send me an email about those sites, again, I will bring those to the attention of the Shade Tree Commission.
Arnie, to help us do that, can someone send the Environmental Commission a map that delineates exactly where the township-owned properties are in the town? So
I think that would be something for Tara to send from Open Space.
Walter,
Okay, all right.
Walter, could you see if you could get a hold of that for us? Because I think we would
or Mark. I guess Mark could probably do it also.
Yeah, that way, as we're driving around, we can keep our eyes open for this as well as other things that come up to the commission.
Okay.
Okay.
So there were a couple new ones. One at 166 Victor Street, and all that is they're asking for a to sonify an existing condition. There are one very small house besides the bigger house, and it doesn't conform with the zoning. So they're asking for it just to be, it's been there for many years. But, who was it? Somebody, the lawyer, Peter, actually drove through and examined this other house and shows it's really a house. It's not a garage. It's got windows and doors and all that kind of stuff. So that has no change from the environmental standpoint. It's been there a long time, and they're not doing anything to change anything. Now, the Demont solar field is coming up for a hearing, and our comments are in the record because I saw those. The ones about using a canopy or get it on the roof, but don't cut down the trees. Now, there's a new one. The Cedar Prep School on 152 Cedar Grove wants to run a summer camp, and what they want to do is put in a running track and a soccer field. So that gets into impervious coverage or not. Depends on how they do the track. And Mark's already made a comment in there about using the stuff that would make it not impervious. Whether they'll do that or not, we can supplement that with our same thing. Yes. They're not disturbing a lot. If they do it as a pervious surfacing on the soccer field, then it'll be a minor development. It won't be over the headline.
Soccer fields are grass.
That's what I thought. So why is it listed as impervious? It's sod.
It should be.
No, that's
fields are grass.
I saw the same thing.
Parking.
No, I don't. The parking's not going to change. They're just adding a summer camp to the facility that's already there. It's a prep school.
They could be proposing an artificial turf soccer field.
That may be.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. It didn't spell that out, but I think that's what it is. So we'll reinforce the. If anybody's agreed with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 0.14 acres of impervious surface, seed or sod, then pervious. The last one I know showed up is Duffy is putting up a pole barn, basically as a garage, at the corner of Hamilton and Clyde. And it's going to cover some ground, obviously, but I couldn't tell from the site plan, tree removal or any of that stuff. But that's the last one I got to.
Well, can we open go to the Duffy site there and open it? I mean, you couldn't open it, but I don't know. Stan,
there was only 3 lines.
Okay.
The application and the blueprint, just a site plan.
Yeah.
And they tend to use it as a garage.
Okay.
So again, but that would, I couldn't tell what was there before. If it was open field, if there were trees, it was hard to tell from the diagram.
Okay.
but maybe I can get more clarification from Mark. And that's one a couple meetings out. It's not this next meeting coming up.
Oh, okay. All right. Then
I went down further to see if I could find it because I'd seen it listed somewhere, and that's when it showed up. Not this next coming meeting, but the one after.
Okay. All right.
So that's what I've done so far on plans.
Walter, can I comment on the school and that soccer turf?
Absolutely.
Under the new stormwater management rules as proposed by the DEP, that would not require them using any green infrastructure. Under the suggestions that our subcommittee is making to the full commission today, it would trigger requiring them to handle things using green infrastructure. So there's a perfect example. It's 0.14 of an acre, which is 6,098 square feet. And the DEP is saying an extension of 10,000 square, or a quarter of an acre, which would be 4,000 square feet, 44,000, 4,400 square feet.
400 square feet, yeah.
And
So
we are suggesting.
Quarter acre is 11,000 square feet.
Right. So the DEP's rule, if it goes unmodified, it would not trigger this project. Our recommendation based on Watershed Institute, and it happens to be what Princeton's also doing, the trigger is 5,000 square feet.
And you trigger, yes.
So at 6,098 square feet, it would trigger them having to do something because they're creating that much more impervious surface.
Yes.
So it's a perfect example of why we want to encourage some changes.
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
That completes what I found.
Okay. And including the ones that Mark Duffy and I believe the Elizabeth, not the Elizabeth Avenue, but the one that those two that he did cite, and you found others, so we will have covered them all.
Yeah, there may be more on the zoning thing. This was on the planning board, but and I sent in ones that we had already commented. I just sent, and Christine got those, from me. So I did those, and these were ones that I wanted to let everybody know what was there.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. In terms of plans, anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. Now we can go into new business. As we see it here, I have on as a observation of Princeton's EC meeting. What can we learn? And I know Stan has some comments that he shared.
Yes, I can preview it.
Okay.
What I have to do, I have to push myself to be a presenter.
All right.
Okay, and then I share my screen. Okay. And I want to show, wait a second. Is it this one?
That's one of the plans.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, so I typed it down. Last time I was just verbally mentioning it, and so it is written in the form of a report, but here, and I wanted to say that there are two things to whom it addresses. One to Township, if Township can make the difference, and one is to us. So, but I want to kind of step back a little bit because last time when I was talking about the high attendance, which peaked at 46 attendees overall in the Princeton Environmental Commission meeting on December, was it 16th or 19th? I forgot. And I had a conversation with Eunice Wong, who was one of the front women of the motion against leaf blowers. I invited her for the meeting of Central Jersey Electric Auto Association. All of us have received the link for the recording. I hope that you had a chance. And she actually answered some of my questions in that. She received a feedback that that specific meeting beat all records in attendance from the public. So it was not normal. It was not normal that it had so many people. And her presentation was amazing. She presented, she did research. She's not an environmentalist by any means. She's just an artist. She's a teacher, and she makes recordings, music and stuff. So, but she did very thorough research, and she checked all the boxes when you want to make a statement, argument against certain things, which in this case it was leaf blowers. So this is just something that I wanted to mention, that if we want to take it to our environmental commission, I would suggest that we invite her to give us the presentation. Okay, so back to the actual meeting. So the meeting was facilitated with the Zoom platform. It's considered better than WebEx now. And Arnie mentioned that we already went through this exercise. So I'm not stating here that we again suggest to go to Zoom. We just want to say, hey, other township, very successful, they're using Zoom. Now, but what really matters is that there was only one link for all. And even today we hit the problem because Maria used the public link, right? And last time it was someone else, and even it happened to me. And I have even experience from the council meeting that I wanted to attend last council meeting, the reorganization, and the link that was posted was the panelist link. So it refused to connect me. So I had to make a phone call to connect. And then eventually somebody gave them feedback. And during the council meeting, they fixed it. So I was able to do that. So it is unnecessary complexity. If we have the control as a host, we can also control the public. And even when we had in-person meetings, both council and all the commissions, people are typically civilized. If there is no public session, people don't speak. And if somebody starts yelling, there's always security officer who can remove that person from the room. So I think that we have pretty much the same option with almost any platform. I didn't investigate how it would work with WebEx. But definitely this is something that is possible. We don't have to have two separate links. And the other thing is that whoever is in the attendee, we don't see them. They can see us, but attendees, the public, they don't see each other as ever. So you have no idea who is in that room. While if we have in-person meetings, you look around and you see who is there, even though these could be strangers, but at least you have the visual that somebody's there. So this is another thing. And I was not reading it, but that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Public was able to use camera for better communication experience. We allow only voice for the public, right? Public was able to share slides, and they did have things to share. We don't allow it. There were 46 attendees, I already mentioned that, which was exception actually. There are 4 liaisons to improve communication across the municipal department and secretary to write minutes. So, and that's the information I kind of got from the website because it was not apparent from the meeting itself. But then I was thinking it actually makes sense. Just like Arnie is liaison to the Tree Shade Commission when he goes there, it improves the communication between those two commissions. Now we have listed Mark Healy as a staff person, and he doesn't come. And it would be great if we have actually someone. If we have, let's say, allotment that for every meeting we can ask for 1 employee, depending on what is the subject that we want to discuss. like we have this list that I guess we will go through today that we want to communicate to Bob McQueen. Wouldn't it be great if we invite him and say, hey, for this specific meeting, we want to have you here, and we have everything that we want to check for our website, and that way it would be much more efficient versus, you know, voting for making motion that for some document and we'll send it to him. It's a one-way communication. So that's just my suggestion that's coming from that, and you know.
I can tell you what Bob Vornlacher's response will be. He'll say, well, then the township would have to pay them overtime.
Exactly.
Which I would say, so?
Yes, exactly, Ted, because we're all doing this without getting paid.
Yeah.
That the township can't support us in this voluminous amount of volunteer hours. Why are we doing it?
Well, another option is that if, let's say it's a 2-hour meeting that we have, if Mark Healy or whoever it is was able to come into work 2 hours late someday, or leave 2 hours early someday.
Because they're working. They're staffing a meeting. That's work.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I originally on this question of revising the website or looking at it, examining it, I made that suggestion, and then of course they didn't, not for Bob McQueen himself, but one of the staff people. And of course, the response was, it's overtime, we can't allow that. And Bob himself.
They're stonewalling because they can very easily do a shift to schedule, or they can say to that person, okay, you can work this meeting and then tomorrow come in late.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's compensatory time off.
And they're just
what I suggested. Yeah.
Especially because the municipal building's not even open, so everybody's probably working weird hours anyway. If they're working from home, like what difference does it make if you work an hour at night instead of during the day?
Like, I get it if somebody has a family obligation, like if they're responsible for children or something and they are unable to come for something like that, because that's an alternate obligation. But then we can work with them to maybe find a time that works.
But this should be part of their job description.
It should be.
So Ted, I have a rhetorical.
In the long run, if we can get a sustainability officer, then it would be written into their job description.
Yeah.
So Ted, I have a sort of a rhetorical question. Bob Vornlacher comes to every single open space meeting. Does he get paid extra for that?
No, because
he's a salary.
I know. It's like I said, it's rhetorical, but he does come to those meetings.
Yeah.
Can I add a few comments on other things that Stan brought up? I think it's a very valid point that the public is not seen by us and they can't see each other. So for them to be speaking up in public and not knowing who's in the room, really unfair. If the idea of using WebEx is to replicate as closely as possible the in-person experience, that's a huge hole. And Ted, if you could pass that on to the powers that be, that using WebEx this way is really a major disservice to the public. If Mayor Kramer doesn't want to talk about contentious subjects until we're over COVID, then then we should not be having meetings at all, because if people can't see each other, it's not a valid experience.
I think I heard something about the state regulations about virtual meetings did ask that the public should be visible to the council.
Great. Well, maybe you can follow up on
that.
Yeah, see if you can follow up on that. And in terms of getting the public to be able to speak to issues more, Arnie and Paul and I met, as you could tell, late last week to talk about the stormwater ordinance. We talked about this particular subject. And it occurs to me, if we're going to continue to use this format for now, at the beginning of the meeting, Walter should invite any of the members of the public to please send us a message through WebEx, and I'm assuming they can do that. Is that right, Jessica? Can they message us?
Yes.
They could chat.
Yeah,
They could chat.
Yeah, okay, so if they could use chat, because obviously I don't see that, but if they could,
chat, they can mention.
okay, if they would just register at the beginning of the meeting, I would like to speak to XYZ subject. That way we can make sure when we get to that subject, we invite the public to comment. Because we may just run through these items on the agenda and then we wait and ask them at the end, where it'd be much more valuable to have their input at the time we're discussing it. So if we invite them as a matter of routine, we add that to the opening remarks like we do the sunshine law. We invite them to please send us a chat if you see anything on this agenda to which you would like to speak.
I see actually comment from the one person in public. And technically I would have to open, we would have to open the public session to even read the chat, I guess.
Yeah, because I can't see it. I guess only you can see it.
I
Yes,
posted
I
it in
received
chat.
it privately.
Did you see my message in the chat that says I got in?
Yes, I do see, and I see a private message from Amy Spears, who is in public, and she says that she strongly supports this conversation. For what it's worth, I really hope that this format continues is some fashion post-COVID, even if meetings are in person. Oh, okay. Anyway, so I close the bar.
Able to do both.
I'm gonna make a suggestion in line with what Robin has been talking about. I would suggest that we start the meeting like we usually do, and we get through what I would call the business part of the agenda before we open to the public. By business, I mean reading the sunshine rule, roll call, chair, minute review, website, including emails we receive, and then on tonight's agenda, the first opening to the public would be item number 7. So we would have an opening to the public close to the beginning, probably 15, 20 minutes in, depending on how many plans we have to review, whatever.
Right, before plans review.
Right. And at that, no, this would be before this, it would be after plans review.
Oh, after.
That would be my suggestion. Because we want to get our business that has to get done as soon as possible. After the business part of the agenda, we would open for the public discussion. We would invite people to talk about any issues they want to, as usual, but also ask them if there are any specific items on the agenda that they would like to address when we are discussing them.
Yes.
And when we get to that item on the agenda that someone wants to address, we would have our discussion, and when we are done with our initial discussion, open it to the public for further discussion, including us, for that item only. And then when we're done with that item, we would close to the public and move on to the next agenda item.
Yeah, why not?
And I think by making that invitation at the beginning of the meeting to say, we invite you to use the chat feature, and then we say it again at the beginning part of at item 7, so that they feel they're invited. I think we'll get more participation if people feel they're invited.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those are excellent suggestions. We certainly want to be more inclusive. We want people to feel that, they've come and they are welcome. And those actions certainly could go a long way towards achieving that. So that's at the next meeting, we don't have to change anything else. We'll make sure that we do that. Did you say that we have some public present today?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think we should go through the points.
In that case, why don't I make a motion that we open to the public?
Well, have we gotten through all of our 6, the beginning? We've done plans review. Have we done the website and everything else before?
Yes.
No, we haven't done all of that?
Yes.
Well, in that case, this would be the time to open it up to the public.
So I'll make a motion to open to the public now.
I second.
It's been moved a second that we open to the public. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so Stan, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Amy, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Spears. I'm a Franklin Township resident. I live on Old Georgetown Road. And honestly, this is my first Environmental Commission meeting, and I'm just looking to better understand these issues in my community, to listen to the conversations. And ultimately, my goal is to try to, I guess, find a way where I can lend a hand in whatever capacity is available. I know this is an odd time. But I know just listening to everyone talking, these issues aren't stopping even in the midst of a pandemic. And so I just wanted to listen to kind of see how the sausage is made and hear everyone talk about what's on the Environmental Commission's plate. So that's why I joined. I appreciate you letting me talk. I felt a little awkward being the only member of the public. But again, it's really nice to listen to all of you, to kind of get to know a little bit about what's on the commission's plate. So thank you. That's it.
Where do you live on Old Georgetown Road? You got two Old Georgetown roads.
I know. So I actually met you a couple of years ago. You were walking on Coppermine Road, and I was walking my dogs, and I passed you. It's been a long time. I want to say this was 2016 or 17. I live at 24 Old Georgetown Road, so towards the 518 side.
Yeah, I think I do remember meeting you then.
Yeah, I had two rambunctious dogs, a big black and white dog and a smaller beagle. So
you might know, Amy, we're at 101. I'm at 101.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's nice to kind of, I guess, put some faces to the houses that we pass all the time. So, so anyway, to get back to business, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to talk and introduce myself, and I appreciate listening to these conversations.
Thank you, Amy. Great to have you.
What about the Franklin Reporter?
I hope you join us in the future, Amy.
Now,
yes.
I tell you something interesting.
On my calendar, so I'll be here for as many as I can. And I just want to take the opportunity just to reiterate what I put in the chat. I really am glad to hear people talking about how to use these platforms more efficiently to engage the public. I realize that the pandemic has caused a lot of changes in the way that we do things, but there's also been a bright side to these platforms. I've been able to attend sessions that I wouldn't be able to attend, participate in conversations that I wouldn't be able to participate in, just by virtue of having access to them virtually. So I would strongly encourage that whatever input you might be able to have in terms of making this a more public part of the process, even when we are meeting back in person, it's extremely helpful for the public to be able to participate, even if everyone's gathering in person, to be able to watch and be a part of it in this way. So that's it.
Good. And we have all the recordings on the website. But before I forget, now it's interesting technical glitch when we are talking about WebEx. Amy just muted herself. And from my host, I do not have the option to mute her again. I can unmute her, but since she muted herself, she has the ability to unmute herself. While before, she could not, because the host would have to unmute herself. You see the glitch?
Yeah.
What I would have to do is to unmute and mute. Now, Maria, try to unmute yourself. Amy. See, and now she cannot, because I was the one who muted her. So it's kind of a glitch that one has to be really aware of.
So do we have anybody else from the public?
For the Franklin Reporter?
No, he's not here. Amy, I just unmuted you for a while in case that you want to add something.
Well, if she's done with saying what she's going to say, then I'm going to make a motion that we close to the public.
Second the motion.
Second.
Okay, move the second that we close to the public. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And Walter, I would just say for the future, when you put your agenda together, after plans review, put first open public session.
Yeah, I point out that the council has its public session very early in the meeting.
Don't they have one at the end also, Ted?
They do not.
I thought they did.
No.
Oh.
Open space does, but not council.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
No, what council does is very early in the meeting, after proclamations, is open to the public and the public can speak on anything. If they have an ordinance up for second reading and passage, then they open to the public to speak on that subject only at that time.
Right.
Mm.
And I think my suggestion was kind of working around that we ask people to please let us know if there's anything on our agenda that they would like to speak to. So when we get to that item, we would open it if we know there are people there that want to speak to it. We may not have to be voting on an item, but we should be getting input. If somebody took the time to sit in on this, that way we'd know what item they want to speak to and we'd open it then. So I hope we can incorporate something like that.
All right, and Stan, to your point, that we be able to see the guests, I guess.
Yeah.
We weren't able to do that.
Yeah. I could only unmute the public, but we cannot see them.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So just back to my story, the experience from Princeton Environmental Commission. There was one person was showing their research on building efficiency, energy efficiency certification being displayed in New York City. This is to stimulate landlords to invest into energy efficiency and for tenants to help in their decision. Now, this was something that, okay, it's interesting, but it's not actionable in Princeton. Obviously, it's not actionable here, but it's just showing the engagement of public.
Yeah.
And by the way, that will be coming here. It will be coming. With the Fed's new standards and New Jersey standards, they're going to have to do it. It will eventually happen.
There you go. Yeah. And then there was a whole story about the gas-powered leaf blowers. I don't know how much I want to discuss it now, but it's a noise pollution, air pollution. There was lots of data shown, and I have lots of text here.
Stan, I think at the last meeting I had suggested that if we wanted to discuss that, it should be that specifically should be an agenda item.
Yes.
And we talked about getting Franklin Reporter to write about it so people would see it and come to the meeting.
Yeah, and then invite the public, I
think Walter was going to contact the Franklin Reporter about that.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't do that, and
now
I can do that.
So do we want to have that as an agenda item for our next meeting?
I think the sooner we start, the better. That season's right around the corner.
So gas-powered leaf blowers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to invite Eunice Wong to talk about it?
Would be a more valuable discussion if we had some expertise.
Yes, she really, the amount of research she gathered, and she when she speaks, she really motivates. So it makes a world difference, actually.
So, we could invite her,
But we would need to have a motion on that.
Yeah, we would.
But we need more motions. We need to have motion about what do we want to send to Bob Vorlocker from the text.
Yeah, I would. Oh, on this whole thing. Well, I think we can advise Vorlocker. We have agreed that we're going to engage the public more frequently by inviting them to tell us what they want to comment on and opening to the public at that time.
I don't know if there's any reason to advise Bob Vorlocker about that. I mean, it's
Great.
It's part of Robert's rules to open to the public. There's not something specifically that says when it should be open to the public. I don't think that's something that Bob needs to be informed about.
I think we should tell Vorlocker that we object to the fact that the public we can't see the public and they can't see each other.
That's another issue.
So I'll make a motion that we advise Vorlocker of that preference on our part, and that we is there anything else from Stan's that I should include?
Do we want to include that we would like to have one single link for both the public and us?
I would object to that.
Okay.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I think that goes against what we talked about before, opening it to the public at certain times. If you have one link, or maybe I'm getting this wrong. If we have one link, wouldn't it be open to the public through the whole meeting?
No.
Well, no, you mute them. You control the mute.
Well, I'm not saying that you control it. When you say that there is no public meeting, people are civilized and they will not interrupt, they will not talk. This is how
Franklin,
this is how
isn't
it.
Princeton.
Yeah, but
Stan, I don't know that they're going to change the format just for us if they're using this platform for everything. I think we just have to find a way to use it to our
there are
advantage.
more ways how WebEx can how we can use WebEx.
Yeah, and
There
I do
is-
think that the fact that if we had one link, we could see them, and they could see each other.
Yeah.
So if they won't give us one link, I think they need to come up with a way to allow us to see them and them to see each other. So I would include that in my motion of something to go to Bornlocker.
Okay, so we will include the wording on the ability to see them, but we will not include the wording on single link.
Right, and we
Am I
want
right?
them to come up with how to do that.
Even if it means that it would require to do single link, but we are not mentioning that we want that, right?
Well, we could say one way to accomplish this might be through the use of a single link.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I mean,
We
Harley
submit-
doesn't like that, you know.
Well, I'm just one person. And my suggestion would be is put a letter together
Mm-hmm.
of the things that you want and, you know, bring it to the next meeting
Well,
so that we can
no.
take a look at that. Or
this
you can
has
even
been
send a
dragging
letter.
from meeting to meeting. I thought
Or
that
you
this
can,
is,
well, I'm not going to vote yes for something just off the top of my head because when I look at what you have in front of you there, I said, I didn't even realize that that was a letter until you told me later on that it was a letter. I saw up above it says in small print that this was a letter, but this doesn't look like a letter to me. So I would
It's a
want to see
technical
something
list.
specifically what we're asking the township to do. You can share it with us prior to the meeting, our next meeting, and then we would be able to discuss it at the meeting with the
Okay,
knowledge
sorry,
of
I
it right in
didn't-
front of us on a piece of paper.
I didn't interpret it properly then, whatever we agreed last time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think our next meeting is
Well,
February 1st.
I'm sorry, Stan, what did you just say?
I said the judge just didn't interpret the assignment correctly in December because now we are losing one cycle. We don't have the letter.
Years this way, another 2 weeks isn't going to be the end of the world, I don't think.
What about something as simple as this? I make a motion that we request the township to broaden our virtual platform in order, or to enable us to see the public and for the public to see each other.
Is that the only,
I'll second that.
Yeah.
That's the real actionable
This is-
item.
Yeah, and it's the core pretty much.
Right.
yeah.
So, Ted, did you get that? Want me to email it to you?
Okay, what I got down that you'd said before, Arsadam moved formally that it should be possible for the public to be seen as well as heard.
Yes, seen as well as heard by the council and by fellow members of the public.
So everybody can see everybody.
Right.
Yes.
And who will carry that message to the powers that be? Can you do that, Ted?
Well, if the commission passes it, yes.
So
Okay, well,
we got a
it's been moved.
second, right?
On the floor,
To get the wording right. I think Ted pretty much captured the wording. Now, do we have a second?
Yeah, I can second that.
Okay, I've been moving a second that the language that Ted just cited that we want to bring to the attention of, I guess,
Ted, could you read it one more time? Just read it one more time.
Okay, go ahead.
Arsadam move formal, I just have this habit of doing it initial and last name.
That's fine.
Move formally that it should be possible for the public to be seen as well as heard by the commission and the public.
On our virtual meeting platform.
Okay.
Yes.
That begs the question about, and when we go back to in-person meetings, how do we achieve that still?
Well, for in person, they're there, they
You
see
can
each
see
other.
them. Yeah, you're right. We're in the
Let them
room.
let them figure it out.
Thank you, Ted. That's
All right.
great.
All right. So can we have a second?
I did second.
A second.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So all in favor of
Can we have discussion on that before we vote?
I think we did, but
No, yeah, after a first and a second, that's according to Robert's rules, that's when you have discussion.
You're right.
Discussion, yes.
Because my question is, because I'm not clear on this, they can hear, would they be able to talk during the regular meeting when it's not in public, when it's not in public session?
that's not what I asked for. That's not what we asked for.
I'm just asking. I wasn't sure if that's what you're at. You're just talking about visibility,
right?
Not seeing. Okay.
I would make the interpretation that just like in in-person meetings, whoever can scream outside of public session and violate the rule.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's physically possible to do it in in-person meetings, and it's possible that the virtual setting would also allow it.
But that's not what Robin is moving for, right?
No,
when they have permission to speak, they should be able to hear each other and see each other.
Right.
Only when they have permission to speak.
But the microphone for them is not open until we open it for them.
Right. Right.
Correct.
It's still controlled by the WebEx controllers.
I simply point out that the commission certainly has the power to order its meeting, including when they open to the public. You don't have to ask Bob Warnlocker's permission for that.
But it's
Well,
the
that's
ability
why I
to see each
suggested
other.
at the beginning of the meeting or after the business part of the meeting, you have the open public session at the beginning and you can talk about that.
I thought you'd agreed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. No, we're talking about
And I said, I don't think it's necessary, like you just said, to get or to let Bob Warnlocker know. I don't think it's necessary.
we do need technological change to be able to see each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we're asking.
That has
Yes.
to go to Bob Warnlocker.
Yes.
All right. Good. All right. Can we? So in terms of the Princeton meeting, was there something else that we observed that we thought needed to be brought to the attention of management?
Don't you want to vote on Rob's motion?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Okay, we've been moved a second. That
Moved in second. We had discussion.
Yeah.
And now it's time for a vote.
Okay.
Okay.
So all in favor of Robin's motion and as presented, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstain? Okay, so the motion is carried. So Ted will carry this information to Bob Warnlocker. All right, thank you.
While we're on the subject of Stan's report, I would like to make a motion that at our next meeting, we have a discussion regarding gasoline-powered leaf blowers. And
Yeah.
we invite
Eunice Wong.
Eunice
Okay.
Wong to join us in our meeting for a portion of the meeting in order to share her expertise.
I totally second that.
Okay. Okay, for discussion, Stan, how long might her presentation be?
She was perfectly within half an hour during my meeting. So, you know.
All right. So it's been moved and second that, or any other discussion?
I would just suggest that that would be the first item under new business.
All right. Okay.
And
I'm sorry.
Walter, could you be sure if this passes that you contact the Franklin Reporter and let them know it'll be on the agenda?
Yeah, I will. I definitely will.
I will contact Eunice Wong.
Okay. And
hope that she's available on whatever is date of our next meeting.
So as not to be playing favorites, should we also be contacting Tap Into?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the township should help us to spread the information. We want to have more people from our township to attend and speak up.
And who would do that? Arnie, do you have a contact there, or would Walter do that?
I think Safi Kalon, she's typically in charge of Tap Into. Ted, can you copy whether it's the case? If we ask Safi Kalon.
Safi.
Where?
Safi? Is a township contact for them? Yeah.
Is somebody gonna, I don't know this person, I don't know Tap Into. Is somebody gonna contact Tap Into?
I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that. Okay.
Thanks, Walter.
All right. So where are we? We wanted to be on the agenda, and you're going to notify.
I think we're at new business B.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. All right. New stormwater ordinance. Okay. This is a big one.
Can I make a recommendation that on our agenda we combine 7B with 8H?
Wait a second. Let me share so that everybody sees it.
So we really eliminate 8H because we're tackling it now. We don't need it to show up twice on the agenda every meeting.
May I point out again that Robin proposed a motion, it was seconded, and you haven't voted on it?
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, it was moved and second that Robin stated that we have gas powered leaf blowers on the next agenda, and that we invite Eunice Wong, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, to our next meeting.
Do you want to see the spelling again?
Yeah, I want to make sure I get it right.
It's here. Can you see it?
Yeah, EUNICE. Okay.
Thank you, Ted.
Okay, very good. So it's been second. So all in favor, let it be known by saying aye or show of hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Wonderful. So we have action items for the next meeting. So someone is going to have to add her as a panelist. Who does that?
Either Stan or
If
I
she
could.
agrees.
Also, you probably could.
For what?
Stan or I could, but I mean, she could join as a.
That's a technical detail.
Yeah, she
don't worry.
Don't
worry.
We don't want to. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So she's going to be virtual. She's not going to be. We're not in the same room.
We have to put her as a panelist because we want her to.
Yes, to speak.
I mean, yeah.
So we have her email address and all that. Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Thank you. All right. I'm sorry, Robin. Again, you would suggest we combine.
If you look at the agenda, we're on 7B. It also shows up under 8H. So I'm just suggesting for future meetings, we really only need this listed once.
Right.
Okay. Well, since it'll be old business, then we'll continue to list it down here as.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do.
That would be great.
All right. So what do we want to talk about today regarding stormwater orders? Is this, or we won't just wait until we get down to H?
No.
Now.
Now,
Okay, so
go ahead.
I'm going to stop sharing, and whoever wants to show the file, let me know, and I'll make you presenter.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yep.
Okay, so Robin, right-click, change role, make presenter, and yes.
Okay, now I have to find that. Share. Here we go. Give me a moment. There we go. So you are now looking at the one-page document that was sent to you on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We received 2 documents, right? So this
Yes.
is one of them.
The second document was the resolution we prepared and signed
Yes.
previously and approved. So our subcommittee of Arnie, Paul, and I are asking your assent to, or I guess this is the way we do it. I move that we send this one-page document onto the appropriate township professionals at Ted's direction for their review and consideration as they're finalizing the upcoming new stormwater management ordinance.
I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we I guess share this document that's on the screen with the appropriate township officials.
And if I may, Walter, I'll just speak to it briefly as how the document is structured.
Okay.
As I mentioned to you, our subcommittee reviewed the new state model ordinance, and we compared that in depth to the watershed's suggested model ordinance and Princeton's newly approved model ordinances. And we highlighted in these points 1 through 8 where the differences are between what the state's suggesting and what the other 2 read, and are accentuating those changes we would like to see incorporated. So there are 8 different topics, and in this layout, you can see where the state's saying a half an acre, or the state is saying 1 acre, we're suggesting a half an acre. Where the state is saying a quarter of an acre, we're suggesting 5,000 square feet. That's number 2, for an example. We're adding terms and definitions that are not in the state model ordinance, but are in the other 2. So number 1 is an example of that, a new definition. Number 2 is a measurement change. Number 3 is a new definition. Number 4 is addressing the subject of wetlands and water courses, which the state did not mention, but Watershed and Princeton do. Number 5 is another measurement. This one specifically deals with runoff quality, where the state is recommending a quarter acre or more of regulated motor vehicle surface. The WSI and Princeton are using 5,000 square feet of impervious surface. Doesn't have to be for cars. It could just impervious surface. The next one, number 6, talks about water quantity as opposed to water quality, which was just addressed previously. This one is specifically suggesting that we do want to control the amount of quantity, and they do that by requiring on-site retention of the 95 percentile storm, which is a term of art used in both of these other ordinances. The state has no reference to quantity, so the other 2 do. And further, we take that point a bit further to tell them we want to see the use of extensive green roofs, which are the thinner green roofs, less weighty, less expensive, on warehouses that are single story with a roof pitch of less than 30 degrees. We reference our previous resolution, which we've already sent on to them. And then we point out that green roofs are one of the acceptable green infrastructure methods, and that we provide them with a definition of what an extensive green roof is, where to find that in the DEP's materials. And then number 8, we addressed the subject of minor development, which if you might remember, we added a definition in number 3 above. So number 8 is giving some measurements to that minor development piece. So you can see essentially for each square foot of new impervious surface, 2 gallons of stormwater management must be managed using green infrastructure, of which the 95 percentile storm must be retained on site. So we're adding a definition of minor development and then explaining how we want to control the minor development using the same techniques for major. And it does provide a caveat. If the requirements are not met due to inability or impracticability, the applicant must get a waiver and they must pay a fee into a minor stormwater management fund. And that fund can be used to make sure these green infrastructures are kept in working order so that a township employee could, every 3 years, for example, go survey the properties and make sure that these features are still functioning as they were supposed to. And then we just point out in 8D that Princeton created a separate ordinance for what they call small projects, requires the same, using the same features, but as Ted knows, and some of us who took that webinar, by doing this, they were able to address is it RESI? Is that the?
RSIS is what it's usually called.
RESIS. Yeah.
It's for residential site improvement
standards, right. So this is a lot of work went into this.
Well, it's an excellent document. Well
and we would like to know if you would be in agreement in sending this out.
I have a question. When number 0.7, it says requiring the use of extensive green roofs. It's not, it doesn't say what percentage or part of the roof has to be covered.
We did not get into that detail. I don't know that we could say something like a minimum of 30%. We could leave it blank.
It really has to do with how much stormwater you can gather, rather than the square footage. It has to do with the gallons and such. There's a calculation to do that, but it's nothing that we would put in this document.
And this could be a part solution. Stan, we're not saying that they have to use green roofs solely as the only green infrastructure technique. And so they could choose to do half of it through a green roof and half of it through.
As you can imagine, my bias is for solar. And so we are essentially competing how to use the roof.
Not necessarily. If they put in, for example, I know in San Francisco, they require a 30% minimum for living roof. Now that could be solar or green roof. But if we say some of it has to be green, that still leaves a whole lot of roof that they could do in solar. And rather than dictate that specifically, I thought if we left them a little room to be decision makers, it might be prudent on our part.
Yeah.
As a point that Robin and we've made, the Amazon roof is 630,000 square feet. 30% of that's a lot of green roof. and 60% of that's a tremendous amount of solar.
If you would like, Stan, we could edit this so it reads, require the use of extensive green roofs in part or in whole for major development, stormwater management. That includes
can we say at least in part?
Right.
As opposed to in part or whole, because it's like what? At least in part.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure how this fits in, but solar panels have, correct me if I'm wrong, nothing to do with stormwater management.
Of course they don't.
Right.
Green roofs have everything to do with stormwater management, and that's what we're supposed to be addressing here is stormwater management. So they shouldn't be really competing things. You
If
know,
they're
if they're,
competing,
especially if they're, I mean,
they're competing
if they're
for the
removing a
space
lot
on
of
the roof.
vegetation and a lot of trees, we want to put more vegetation on that roof. I'd rather see vegetation than solar. It'd be nice to have solar also, but
Well,
the vegetation is what's going to help with the stormwater management, carbon absorption, and other things such as animal habitat and things like that.
yes, it's from holistic viewpoint. When you put a development in place where there was a virgin, undeveloped land, you need energy, right? So you can just lay down wires and pretend that it's coming from land of nobody, and just focus on local properties so that you take care of the storm management. Then yes, but to put the solar on the roof means that you're actually having checkbox on the climate and the carbon footprint.
Stan, maybe we'll have an opportunity to address that specifically in another, or I'd be happy to see us find a way to do that.
Yeah, I guess it's being interpreted like I'm trying to steer the conversation elsewhere. My goal is to for the developers to have option what they put on the roof,
right?
So that they are not restricted to this.
Are you comfortable with us adding this? Require the use of extensive green roofs, at least in part, to meet stormwater management guidelines of any major development that includes single-story.
In part of the roof, not in part of the management guidelines.
It occurs to me that we could suggest an incentive for green roofs using money that they would have to pay into the shade tree fund, at least for excess trees they cut down, that requirement could be, I don't know whether the word I want is diverted, relaxed.
Right. And that's how some towns are doing it.
Green roofs.
And I think we discussed that a while back as something that we would have to change, revise the shade tree ordinance so that it would fit into this, to exactly what you just said, Ted, because we've discussed that, because it would be appropriate if they're going to be cutting down a lot of trees, but they replace them with a green roof. Since they've cut down all these trees, and if they have to pay $20,000 into a shade tree ordinance, maybe they can put that $20,000 towards their green roof, or something like that.
Yeah. If green roof is classified as an alternative to tree canopy, then yes.
Yes.
I think that, as maybe another ordinance that we would want to look at possibly writing is when you have these big places like Amazon, where you have these huge parking lots, and I know you have to take into consideration large trucks and the heights of them, that you have solar panels on their parking lots, because they have these huge parking lots. And why not utilize that space for solar panels? I think that would be a great place to have them. And that might be a whole other ordinance that we might want to think about.
Yeah. They have the parking lots are away from the loading dock areas, but on the Amazon site, there's already a lot of cars parking there every day, and yet there's room for the trucks. So canopy over the
your
personal parking would work nicely.
Solar cells over the loading areas, or where the trucks are, because they're so much higher.
Exactly.
But it's still doable, no?
Oh.
Yeah, just where the personal parking is.
All right. If you guys want to direct your eyes to the document, I've made 2 changes. On number 7, to address Stan's concern, how about I change the wording, require at least partial use of extensive green roofs to meet stormwater management, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then under 7, I added D, use of green roofs. Green roof could reduce the funds required to be paid into the shade tree fund for any trees removed as an incentive.
Mhm.
And let them fiddle with that. If they need they want us to come back with more specific wording, we can do that.
Okay, sounds good.
I think it's clear, yeah.
You know, I know they're going to play with this whole thing, and I like that D that you just put in there.
Okay.
But as far as where did you just go with? Can you go back to where we were?
Yeah,
Something just got whacked. Yeah, you got,
I lost
that's
D. I got
Where
to
you
try
could
to get D
require
back.
at least partial use. I mean, that opens it up to really broad interpretation, but I'm not sure what else we can do.
Right.
And I guess, again, this is just something we're sending to them for their.
Right, we could do something like this.
Well, maybe the incentive can be so much incentive.
Can't hear you, Seal. Seal?
Yes.
Can barely hear you.
All right, maybe the incentive can be proportional to the square footage.
Well, I think that's why you put in a percentage, yeah.
yeah, that's right.
So the more green roof they have, the more incentive they have.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
Yes. I think that's
Yeah.
good putting in that minimum.
yeah.
And I think that's a big incentive with 7D there.
Yeah.
Okay, where,
Yeah, instead of planting trees, we're planting grass and plants.
It's not as good as for carbon absorption, but it does do a lot for the stormwater management.
Yeah.
It is a lot for animal habitat. So
Yeah.
it is a plus.
At least it's not deer habitat.
Good.
Well, we could build ramps.
That's
Flying
good.
squirrels.
long-legged deer?
That's bad.
What would be nice would be milkweed, so it would be monarch butterfly habitat.
That you could probably do on a tree, because the extensive roofs that we're talking about, they do in trays. So you can have one tray of one type of plant and another tree with a different type of plant.
Well, I could see rain gardens being encouraged to have milkweed in them.
Same idea as how we tell them what kind of trees to use sometimes. But that's a detail we get to later.
We had talked about rain gardens as a part of this document, but we decided to leave that out for now.
Yeah, because it's on the it's on the ground.
And rain gardens are in the state table of green infrastructure that we're saying you have to use. So.
Yes, no, I know.
All right, so in order to make this one page, I can reduce the font a tiny bit.
Make it wider,
Margins
go
bigger?
margins
Yeah.
wider.
Margins, yeah, smaller margins.
That's good.
And you can bring it, if you need to, top and bottom.
There we
you
are,
go.
we're done.
One page.
On 7, go back to 7. 7D, use of a green roof could reduce the funds. At the very beginning.
Yeah.
Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Done.
Let me just read through it. Right.
That's perfect.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks good.
Ted, how do you feel about sending this on?
Well, first you got to officially pass it, and then send me the revised copy, and I will send it on to Mark Healy and Carl Hauk as having been
I'll make a
officially
motion
approved.
to approve this.
I second it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and second that this particular document, I won't, be approved, and Ted will send it to Carl Hawk and Mark Healy as they plan the stormwater ordinance. All in
And
favor?
Carl
let it be known-
Hawk, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mm.
Aye.
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 Discussion be after the first and the second? I know we had discussion, but we have discussion after the first and second. I just have
Well,
to,
we did have a first and second, and then we had discussion, but I amended it. So I think the second motion was to accept the amendments.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I just have one comment. Do we want to ask, it doesn't have to be in this document, it might be a second motion. Do we want to ask Mark and Carl at the earliest possible time for them to send us the proposed draft of their new stormwater ordinance for our review?
Yes.
Because
okay.
we don't want to see it come to us in a final draft where we have, I know there is going to be some public comment time and everything, but I think it would be nice if the Environmental Commission got to see it before the public got to see it.
Yeah.
To review it and make further recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this would be a second motion or if this would be
I would
part
do
of,
second one. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to keep this document clean.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Arnie, I think I need a clean copy of the resolution without blue and red.
Oh,
Can you email that to me?
yeah.
All right, and then
So
I'll email this.
did we approve the previous text?
No.
Oh, this
I
is,
don't think so.
it's still the same
We knew we
one.
were going to change it.
No, this
If we
is the
did, just do
amended
procedure.
text.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that you went to another one.
No, I was looking at our resolution about green roofs, but I don't,
Oh,
I want to make sure when I send it to Ted, I attach a final of the resolution.
mm-hmm.
And it looks like my copy was the draft. So I will hold off sending this out till Arnie sends me a clean final of the resolution. Okay, then I'll email it to everybody.
I'm looking at the most recent one that I have. I think it's the last one, but it would have been sent to Walter for him to send to. The last one that I have says October XX. It doesn't have a date in it. So the last one would be in the hands of Walter, who would have sent it on to Anne Marie.
Walter, can you get us that?
It was sent by email to us. The title is blue, maybe, but everything else is black. I think we received final copy. No.
All right. This is the stormwater.
No, on green roofs, resolution.
But to Anne Marie.
I thought it was.
Why don't we just go through? We
Robin.
can continue with the meeting, and I'll continue looking for the.
I found it. I found it. Never mind. My apologies. Yep.
I think
I have
you
the
sent
final.
it, right?
I have the final, so I can
Yeah.
send this on to everybody.
All right. Good.
My apologies.
No problem.
And this will include the changes made tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Well, are you going to pass it so that I can then send it on?
We need a vote.
What's the motion?
I thought we did that already.
We did the motion, we did the second, we did discussion, and all we need to do is vote.
Okay. All in favor of the final as amended, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion that at the earliest possible time, Mark Healy and his team send us the proposed draft of the new stormwater ordinance for our review.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
we get a
second that.
Any discussion? Okay. So all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Aye, sure. That looks like it's unanimous. Any opposed? All right, very good. Now, so again, that would go via Ted.
It could.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Maybe you would just send them both together.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So I know this is not the end of stormwater, but for now, I think we made a major step forward, if you want to call it that. So it's just sort of in Carl and Mark Hughes' I put on that desk now. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. I think this is a major step forward. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Robin.
Good job, Robin.
Worked
Yeah.
hard and it shows.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, C, under new business, planning for meeting with the IT and Township website design and operation. I know.
Okay, so who wants to present?
I can talk about it if you want me to.
Because Arnie, you and Jessica, you had some list, right? So go ahead.
Well, Arnie sent the final document, so maybe Arnie, you should lead that one.
Okay, so maybe
You
I
sent the
need
last
to.
one, right? Am I wrong there?
Yeah, I sent the last document to everybody.
Okay, you are presenter now. You can share it.
I have
Have you
no
shared
idea.
before?
I have no idea how to share something.
Well, at the bottom you have a button.
I'm looking at a
that
hard
says
copy
share.
in front of me.
There is a button at the bottom of the screen that says share.
I see that. And what am I?
When you press it, you will see an option.
And what option am I? I see lots of options.
Yeah, so on top is screen. The top option is sharing screen, right?
Screen 1, okay.
Yeah.
I see Robin.
Then you want to approve it. Right now, we see it. You see it. We see your email.
I see the email.
All right. So preview whatever you want to show.
I don't care to show anything. But the document.
What's the document?
How do you open? I don't know how to open the document.
On your computer, Arnie, did you create it on the computer?
In your files.
Did you create it on the computer?
Yeah.
Go find that file on your computer, open it up, and you share that with us.
Yeah.
We're all gonna know how to do this stuff by the end.
We're all watching.
Yeah. By the time we go back live.
Goal.
Well, you got a lot of files on.
Oh, I have no idea. Environmental Commission.
What's the name of the file?
Maybe this is it. There we go.
Yeah.
Can everybody see that?
There it is. You did it.
You can make it maybe a little bit bigger.
Oh, you're messing with my head now. Make it bigger.
Yeah, you have
View.
in Word. You have it.
I got it. I got it.
It's the size.
I got it. I mean, I like the size that it is, but how's that? Is that any better?
That's better.
Absolutely.
It has also option of page width.
All right.
But I will not tease you anymore.
You did a great job, Arnie. You did it great.
So the bottom line is we sent you this document, and hopefully, as we asked, everybody has reviewed it. And this is what we want to pass on to the IT department. We want to send them this document, have them review it, and then set up a meeting that Robin, JJ, and I, and if Walter wants to join us also, we can sit down with IT and tell them this is what we would like to do. Now, if there's anybody that has comments on this that they would like to make changes, that's fine.
Well, when I saw it, I thought that for the purpose of stimulating or, initiating the meeting, it was excellent. So that means that we can't add more later.
Right. I think we have to acknowledge this is a living document and we'll come up with ideas the deeper we get into it. But
Absolutely.
Dan and I still aren't listed even as members of the commission.
Well, we used to be, and we were
We used to
purged. I
be.
don't know.
We were
from
purged.
some reason, yeah.
We have to try.
And in the meantime, obviously, the bio, I need to change it, right?
Yeah, all of those things when we're going over them, you know, any bios that need to be updated, we can get into all of that with them.
Yeah, we bring it to their attention.
We need to have a process that when we ask to make an update to the website, that we just, you know, we make a motion, we give it to him, and it's going to be that happening, right? Not like.
And maybe we should, let's turn the table a bit and ask them, how do they want to receive our requests?
Yeah, that's.
I know IT people are inundated with stuff. Do they have a sheet they want us to fill out? Do they have a format they want us to follow? Do they only want to hear from us once a month or once a quarter? How do you want to hear from us? Because we want to help you be effective for us.
I wouldn't necessarily offer for a form to fill out because they may come back with that and it may not be able to encompass all of this.
Or we can just leave it open-ended. How do you want us to?
She's had that happen to her too.
How do you want us to communicate with you?
Well, instead of maybe asking them first, I would say part of the discussion would be.
Oh yeah, going forward.
In 2005, when we first created our web page, we didn't have any kind of presence on the internet. So we created this document, and at that time we had a subcontractor, an outside contractor running the township webpage. And any time that we needed to change something, whether it was adding a resolution, adding the minutes, adding, you know, the agenda, the chair would call up that person and boom, it would be on the website within 24 hours. That person would take care of it. I think I even put the guy's name in the document here that I used to deal with at the time. Morris Enyard, he was the head of City Connections. That was the company that we were dealing with. And that's how we did it. And it worked very well. But then, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, whatever, when the township took over and they got rid of the outside vendor, it's changed.
Mm.
So I'm hoping that we can have more. Yeah, thank you, Diane. I agree. I'm hoping that we can have more of an open conversation with them and be able to contact our IT person. And I'm also, if you look at the bottom of the first page, I asked, can we contact, not us, can the township, because I know they wouldn't want us to, but can the township contact City Connections, Morris Enyard, it was his company, if they still exist and if he's still there, to find out if they have any historical information not currently on our website, like missing and old resolutions, missing minutes and agendas. The web page goes back to 2005. I started sending minutes and agendas to Morris back then, but our agendas and minutes only go back to 2012 on our current web page. And I'm thinking that maybe he has some of our historic information stored somewhere that our IT department can get from them.
I think if the township terminated the contract, they would have to be required to delete all the information.
You would think, but you don't know unless you ask.
Right. They may have turned it over to the township to archive it, and they just don't bother to put it on the website.
That's possible also, but I think it's something that we should have it on the website. Archive meeting minutes and agendas so that people can go back to see what we talked about back then and what we got accomplished.
Or we may come to an agreement that anything past XYZ date, you have to request it from the township. We don't put it on the website, you know. You may not.
Well, if you look at the website, you have at the bottom of, let's say, the minutes and agendas, you click on it, you know, the first group, the second group, the third group, the fourth group, and the fifth group, and fifth group goes back to 2012. I don't know if it would be a big deal to add up to 10 groups where you have another, bunch of years on there. I don't know how that works, but it's just a question that I think it would be good to ask. Part of the question could be, did City Connections send everything to the township? Do they have everything somewhere in archives?
Yeah, why don't we do that in our meeting? That's a good idea.
I think as I recall, at the time of that changeover, our IT department admitted that a lot of things got lost in the shift over. I think it's very unlikely that you'll be able to recover what was lost. Although I will comment, I probably have all of the minutes I ever took on my computer probably back to 2001. It's not fully complete because sometimes somebody else like Paul took the minutes if I happened to miss a meeting. And some of those I have on paper and could probably, if I dig them out, I could scan them in. But the minutes, we might be able to reconstruct further back, but not, I wouldn't have, probably don't have resolutions. Actually, I can dig around in my Environmental Commission file and see what I've got.
I think I recall, Ted, you're saying that it's possible things were lost in the transition. The question is, were they lost on our end or were they lost on the City Connections end? And that's why I wonder, just asking City Connections, again, if they still exist, do they have a file of it that they would be able to pass on?
I think that's worthwhile. That, there are new recovery methods today that they didn't have then, and it's possible that using those techniques, they might be able to recover something that they thought they may have lost.
Now, that would only go back to 2005 because that's when we started the web page. If Ted says he can recover things to 2001, well, that's a bonus.
Absolutely. Okay.
So I guess we're asking, I'll make a motion to ask, can we send this to our IT department, asking them to review it and then set up a meeting with them, a virtual meeting with them, so that we can go over it and discuss it with them.
Or maybe whether it would be part of our upcoming meeting.
No, they don't.
Separate.
No,
they'll be working overtime.
Yeah, that's overtime for them. This would be something that at this point in time, it would be Robin, JJ, and myself. I don't know if anybody else would join us.
So only a few people from the commission would participate.
Right.
Okay.
And you don't want to have a quorum. So I mean, Walter was originally involved in this also. So it'll just be a meeting, a virtual meeting to discuss with them.
Work meeting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
During work hours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we need a well, one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know, some of the information to IT has to come through Anne Marie. Now, have we covered that? Everything doesn't go directly to them from us. It has to go through Anne Marie to them.
What are you talking of? You talking about resolutions? Are you talking about minutes? What is it you're talking about?
I think resolutions don't go directly to them.
Good idea. Very likely the resolutions would have gone to Anne Marie.
Right.
And she might have them.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that can just be added, but the great majority of what IT gets, we're covered here, maybe 95%.
City Connections is still in existence.
Wow.
Does it give Morris Enyart's name?
I don't know yet. I'm looking. It has, they just signed up for Washington Township and West Windsor. They have Marlboro, Chesterfield, Roosevelt, and
Let me tell
South
you,
Brunswick.
he was a pleasure to work with.
Oh, here it is. Yes, Morris Einhart, Enyerart, Ed. Yep.
Yeah, he
Now
was a pleasure to work with. Things got done, boom, boom, right away onto the webpage.
This was just, the last update I see was August 28th of 2020. So, looks like they're still running.
Good.
Okay.
So I made a motion.
Will you repeat it?
I'll make a motion that we be able to accept this document and pass it on to the IT department. And while passing it on to the IT department, ask them to review it. And then we will set up a meeting to discuss it with them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, a second?
I second it.
Okay. It's been moved and second that we, as stated by Arnold, that we send this forth and ask for a meeting be set up between the commission, the special group of commissioners, and the IT department. I'm not in every detail, but we all know what we're saying here. So, any discussion? Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Opposed? Okay, very good.
Walter, do you want to send this, or do you want me to send this? Do you want to do this?
Yeah, why don't you go, since we are asking for, he's saying that, I'm sorry, Bob McQueen was saying he's going to send his representatives. I don't know what it is, but why don't you send it?
I was told that the meeting should be with Krista Hagedis because she is the person who puts things on the township website.
Well, should I just send it to Bob McQueen and say, can we meet with one of your IT people, and then he can let us know specifically, because those people change. And I will copy JJ, Robin, Ted. I'll copy you, and Walter, I'll copy you.
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay.
All right. We agree that that's how we will move forward. That's good. All right. So shall we go on to we're down to D now in new business, right?
Yep.
Community solar planning. As I remember, that particular initiative or program was, I guess, sort of experiencing a downturn. But nevertheless, who's going to lead that?
Well, I think we had brought it up with Stan and I discussing the BPU's Community Energy Planning Grant.
Okay.
And that's also under HII in old business.
Okay.
Ted was updating us on the community solar project that's been approved by the township. That's going in 3 places. So maybe that's what we were talking about. And I do think this is a project we should keep a close eye on, because if it turns out to be very viable, the township makes no investment. Moderate and low income people apparently can access it and get guaranteed reduced
utility bills.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wins. Township has no outlay. People in the most underserved community could benefit as long as they are told about it. And apparently, per Ted, there is no subscription that the low income or moderate income people have to pay. Might be a subscription for others to access it. But I think it's something worth following closely. Ted, did I state that correctly?
The last word I had was that they are required by the BPU that at least 51% of the subscribers be low and moderate income, once they've satisfied that, anybody can sign up. Now, whether that means that even the non-low and moderate income people get the subsidy, that I don't know. But
Right.
you would be, at the very least, you'd just be buying the electricity produced by it, which might be cheaper than PSE&G or might not.
Right.
But
Well, I think
the low income people is guaranteed they get this subsidy.
Yeah. And as long as they promote it to them, I'll speak more to that if we want to under L below the conversations I've had. But I think that's how this ended up here on this part of the agenda.
Okay.
Walter was talking about that new project in town.
All right.
Walter, were you going to send the letter that we sent to Amazon to the general manager of the Amazon plant here on Randolph?
I did send that, and I was wondering if I had notified you. I did send that.
You did? Okay.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. In fact, what I'll do is I'll look it up and I'll forward it to you.
Oh, that's perfect, because I'm thinking of going knock on the door and visit him.
Okay, wonderful.
He's only just down the block. It's not far.
Right.
I could walk it almost.
Okay, very good. All right. Old business update, I think the approach that, we don't try to go by line, but if there are particular.
Yes, I motion that instead of going line by line, that someone has an update about a line item that hasn't already been discussed. You say so now, and if otherwise there are no updates, we motion to close.
Forever hold your.
You have update.
Second.
No, I do have. Don't.
I have some updates.
You have an
too.
update. If you don't, that's a different thing.
I have an update.
All right.
And
All right.
I do too. So Stan, go first.
Go ahead.
But this thing, how do I click?
You can drag the globe.
Can I drag? Here.
You have the globe. There you go.
Drag it. Ah, okay. Here, there you go. Because I have lots of tabs open. So, what do I show? Meters here. Okay, so guess what happened on January 4th? I received email from Carl Hauck saying, "Hey, you can come to read the meters, right?" I've been told that I cannot access them, that he will do it, instructing him, no, he said, you can come, right? So I did, and I read the meters. It was not on the 4th of January, it was on the 6th, I believe. Actually, I have it right here. On the 6th, right? But on at the end of the month, December 31st, I was reading all other meters. So it's just it's close enough. So the goal was to with the BPU now we have complete picture, but we don't have the data on the month of November and December as I have for the rest, because I decided to read them on regular basis. So, but overall, the whole and then all energy dispensed in public meters, and that was 18 megawatt hours, municipal 6, and Department of Public Works 9.3. But mind you that public chargers has 2 ports, municipal has 10, and Department of Public Works has 2. So if you say dispense per port, then you can tell that the public is much more efficient versus the municipal, and DPW is also used much more. Now, the 10 vehicles are kind of randomly distributed between municipal and DPW. Right now, it looks like 3 vehicles are in DPW. So that's this chart. And when I go to this tab, these tables are updated, and I have another block for the DPW use. So we have only one line. Again, I don't have any idea about the use by month. But speaking of the monthly changes, in November, I reported 221 kilowatt hours in municipal building. In December, was 308. So there was a 4.4% increase in the fleet utilization and from 3.1% of charger utilization. The charger utilization is always less because the number of chargers exceeds the number of vehicles. So inherently there is idling. This is estimate of cost. This is for the DPW. The fleet utilization comes higher because it's calculated to 3 vehicles versus here it's 10 vehicles. Estimated cost per month, etc. Now, speaking of the public chargers, so Ted mentioned that was contacted by John Moose, a person from public, I suppose, from Franklin Park, and he was complaining that the cost of charging in municipal charger is too high. And it's true because it comes up to double to what you would be charged if you charge at home. But then it's charged per minute. So it depends how quickly your vehicle can draw the energy. So if your vehicle is plug-in hybrid, those vehicles typically have smaller batteries, they have smaller chargers, so they charge at a lower rate. So the energy becomes even more expensive. And I also made a post on social media, and I asked other people from the Electric Auto Association within New Jersey to contribute and say how much their municipal public charger, how much is the cost. Most of them were free, and some of them were for symbolical fee. So it makes much more sense to reconsider. And you can see that in November, the public charger was 169 kilowatt hours, but in December it went down to 24. And we have no idea how much was it on monthly basis before that. The first reading of those meters was I did on October 28th. The fee was imposed at the end of July. And of course, another impact on public usage was the COVID by itself, which, as we know, was end of March. So I cannot read the data from the public chargers, but again, the township has access to the charge point network portal. They could pull any data they want, right? So that's what I have. Questions?
So Stan, what?
Yes.
If you had to suggest, improvements or more, I'll call it visibility of
yes.
the whole
So
program.
one thing that can and should be done, that more than 50% of those vehicles should be repainted as police vehicles. And for every project where the police is mandatory to sit by with idling engine, these vehicles could be there. For example, not that they cannot be used for other police application, but this is something where, they could easily be used, saving very well calculated amount of money. And at the same time, the visibility would be greatly improved. Yes.
Wow.
I think that the police have to use police vehicles even for outside jobs in case they suddenly have to respond to an emergency, and also, of course, so they have police radio communication.
Correct.
So I don't think you can simply use the electric vehicles. We may someday get to having electric police cars. There are communities that have them.
Yes, in California, they have BMW i3, which has much shorter range. So it's doable.
Yep. One of them is using Teslas, yeah. Okay.
And in some other towns also, they do have specifically Chevy Bolt as a police vehicle. So it is, from technical viewpoint, it's not a big deal. It can be done. It's just the willingness to do so.
So Stan, if you had another month or a quarter of data, could some of your questions be answered? Or what do you think?
The major question is, why did we purchase 10 vehicles and the fleet utilization is in single digit?
Okay.
Well, one
and
point
what was it before COVID? Because I've been told that it's because of COVID. The data is available and I don't have them. We don't have them. Forget about Stan. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we want to do going forward? Continue to access the data to refine your report?
This is what we can do because the charges are publicly available. But we need to really put the electric vehicles forward and make them save township money and improve environment.
Okay.
Yeah. Why can we just say, ask the question, formally request, why are the electric vehicles not being used more frequently? That it appears it's been not a good investment of township funds, that they're being sidelined the way they are?
I think that question was
You raised that before.
raised before, but maybe I didn't do it according to Robert's rule.
Maybe we need a resolution?
We don't know.
Do we need a complicated text for
Remember
this?
what they answered was that they wanted vehicles with four-wheel drive.
Yes, but that was afterthought.
Yeah. Why did they buy them? Why did they buy them?
The question is, why did you buy these 10 vehicles and why aren't you using them? If you bought them,
Sounds like there was a lack of communication between the people that use the vehicles and the people that purchased them.
I'm guessing there was no communication because I'm guessing upper management probably wouldn't go to lower people and say, we're going to get these vehicles for you. Would you use them? They're just going to assume they're going to
They just went and bought them. They didn't.
Right.
Or seeking personal benefit.
Well, one point was that at least 4 of these vehicles were to be used by the assistant tax assessors for traveling around the township to inspect houses to see how much they should be assessed for. But since COVID-19, they haven't been doing that. Therefore, those vehicles haven't been used.
Oh.
that makes sense. But they could be used by somebody else, maybe.
Well, somebody else's are probably using some of the other vehicles. I haven't asked about haven't pursued what is each vehicle used for. I believe one of them is assigned to Sappy Callan. She has to do a certain amount of traveling for the various things she does.
But if they absolutely have to be driven and they can't be used by the tax assessors people now, why not say to department heads, until COVID's over, 4 of you get to take vehicles back and forth to work every day? Just something, maybe I don't even know if they're working in the building. Like if there's 4 department heads working in the building, why not take the car home and back and forth? That drives it. It's
They
better
are
for the
working in the building.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to figure out what the town's doing. They're not really transparent.
Would it make sense if I make motion that we ask Township to tell us what was the fleet usage before COVID?
Another possibility would be to ask them, what is the projection for fleet usage after COVID? And then we have something to hold them accountable to.
That makes very good sense. I like it.
More pertinent.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. They might answer that question.
Yeah. So outline the plan of EV fleet usage post-COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the worst case scenario that they're not being used? Like, what is it doing to these cars that they're not being driven? Like I think you said at another meeting that it wasn't good for the batteries.
Well, plugged in.
Yeah, they are all of them. They are subject of recall. They should not be charged for at more than 90%. And so there is a option within the vehicle to prevent them charging over 88, which is called Hilltop Reserve. If that's engaged, it would not charge above 88%. But since I suggested it last year and nobody responded, I assume that it's not the case. And I see these vehicles plugged in.
Oh, that's not good.
Plugged in and fully charged. I mean, not charging, which means that they reach the maximum possible charge.
Can we add that to our question out to them, that we would like to note that we have concerns with vehicles remaining?
Can we reformulate and saying, do you have a plan for training of your employees how to properly manage and use electric vehicles?
It's a good idea.
And you can say including things such as vehicles should not be charged at greater than 80%.
Including how to limit the maximum charge for the vehicle.
To avoid battery depletion.
No, to avoid potential of fire.
Right, whatever the words are.
Well, depletion is no, they don't deplete without driving. It's.
Does it damage the battery though?
In general, if you keep the battery at 100%, it shortens its life.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the depletion I was talking about.
That's battery degradation.
Okay.
Just want to use the terminology.
Yeah.
Premature battery degradation and risk of fire.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
It's a more
That sounds
permanent non-usage.
So can I have I would like to have a motion that we ask the township to disclose the plan for EV fleet usage after COVID and what is their training program on vehicle operation and charging. No,
And
maintenance.
to prevent fire and battery degradation.
To prevent fire and battery degradation.
Yeah, that'll get their attention maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay, so that's your motion.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, so Stan had motion is that I don't remember all the specifics, but ask the question.
Did somebody write it down?
And for and that training program for preventing premature battery degradation and fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the discussion,
I would just ask Ted his thoughts on this motion and how he believes it would be received, if he has any thoughts on it or concerns about it.
Okay, here's what I've written down at this point. SJRS moved to ask the township what EV usage was before COVID-19. RCDAM added to ask what expected usage will be after COVID-19. SJRS also pointed out that Chevrolet Bolt should not be 100% charged because of fire potential. there is a program limiting battery charging to 88%. Charging to 100% also causes a faster battery degradation. Also, the EC asks the township whether personnel are trained in usage and charging to prevent fire and battery degradation.
And what is the usage going to be? The plan for usage going to be after COVID? Was that part of it?
Yeah.
It was, yes, but we are no longer asking what was it before. We want to see what is the plan after COVID, because that way we can hold them accountable, as Robin mentioned.
Okay.
And just the wording, the feature in the vehicle that limits the charging to 88%, it's not called 88% limit, it's called a hilltop reserve.
Is that standard equipment? That's the extra feature.
It have it all. Hilltop.
Hilltop, how is that spelled?
Hilltop.
Oh, hilltop.
Yeah, hilltop. So that when you are on the hill and then when you go downhill, there is capacity in the battery so that you can regen and recoup the energy.
Okay, hilltop reserve.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. Any more discussion? Okay, so all in favor of this, I guess it's going to be a letter or email through Ted, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of the proposal, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. So we're putting a lot of actions out there.
Yeah.
From tonight's meeting. That's good. Wonderful. All right. Who else? I'm sorry, Stan, do you have an additional item you wanted to update on the old business?
I have no update about stream cleanup. We are all set.
Okay. All right. I didn't put the date in there. Is the date set or just the?
Yes, we did. It
April
was
17th, I think.
17th, no. Let me
settle on it.
17th.
Okay, very good. I'll make sure I get that in there. Okay. So who else?
Walter,
okay, Robin.
Yeah,
Okay, Robin.
couple of updates. I did write to Bob Smith. I sent him an email regarding undergrounding. I haven't gotten a response. I'll give him another couple days and then I'm going to call his office and hope somebody answers the phone. And regarding the community energy planning grant, I have not heard back from the social services intern at the food bank. So I've sent a second request to Frank Hasner to connect me with him to learn more about the needs of the underserved part of town. I did have a good conversation with Carla Beverly, who's the executive director of the Central Jersey Community Development Corp., which is spun off from First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. And we really focused in on the financial concerns of that group. So the community solar project with Dimensions Renewable Energy may be a very nice thing for them and could probably give us an opening to talk about climate issues generally and how being more climate sensitive, environmentally sensitive could benefit them in lots of ways, including saving money. Because I'm not sure there's a lot of education on that. Climate change is considered a rich white man's issue. And you know, in talking with Carla, we talked about other needs. I said things like health and respiratory problems. Those are climate related illnesses that can be particularly hard on underserved communities. And she said, absolutely. She says, asthma, COPD, she said they're very, very prevalent. and anything we can do that could help that. We talked about the buses on 27 and how the buses are idling at the suburban / coastal bus station, and what that does to the air for the people living just on the other side of 27. And we talked about transportation in general, because transportation is 42% of New Jersey's emissions that have to be controlled by 2050. And she said, we need east-west transportation. She said, we've got north-south generally, but we don't have anything east-west. And how it would be really helpful. She said, even for people to get to the new food bank location on Churchill is a real challenge for them. They could walk to it on Millstone Road, Millstone Avenue, but the new one on Churchill, if you're a senior and you're overweight and you've got asthma, to try to get to the food bank could be a real problem. So I had said to her, wouldn't it be great someday if the township could have a few electric vehicles that provided some transportation to this part of the population? I don't know how they get to Middlebush to go to the library. I don't know how they get to Middlebush to pay taxes. I don't know how they get to Somerville to do county business. So while we went around on a lot of this, I asked her to please keep in mind how we could be of value to that part of our township population. And we talked about the youth as well. And I said, the youth are probably the most plugged into this stuff because they're getting it in school. And how could we perhaps partner with the youth to make a lot more environmental justice awareness in that part of town? So it was a good conversation, nothing specific to come out of it yet, but I'm looking forward to cultivating it.
Robin, as far as the idling is concerned,
Yeah,
at Suburban,
yeah.
she can call the Middlesex County Health Department. She can call the DEP. They have an idling program where if somebody complains about a specific site, they will send people out there and monitor them. It's not measuring. Well, the only measuring is if they're over 3 minutes. And if they'll go out there at 6 a.m. when they're just starting up their buses or whenever and monitor them. And if they find violations, they will hit them with violations. At Somerset in Union County, we did that quite frequently. It was a program that we had through the DEP.
So she should go to Middlesex County or to the DEP?
I would start with Somerset County,
well,
the health department.
That bus department.
I'm sorry, Middlesex County. Yeah, Middlesex County Health Department.
Health Department, okay.
Right.
And beyond that to the DEP.
Right, because they get the health department that does that gets their programs and their authority through the DEP.
Okay, great. Thank you, Arnie.
All right. Okay. All right. Anybody? Robin? Any additional?
I'm just taking a quick look.
Okay.
I will just comment on L, Sustainability Officer. I'm going to say it again. I would like to see that agenda item stated as Sustainability Officer / Grants Coordinator, so we can get it into people's heads that maybe if the two are combined,
I think
they will be more likely to hire somebody because it's two jobs in one. They might be more.
It was recorded, I believe, in some of the prior meeting minutes.
All right, I'll make sure that. I think everybody's in agreement that that's a good look at that, so we can change it. So what it does is it actually expands it, I guess. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, we talked at our last meeting about a climate action plan, and I was going to look at Princeton's. I did not do my homework.
Okay.
I think the stormwater management took everything out of
some notes from I guess it was the NJEC conference in 2018, at which Sophie Glovier spoke considerably about, it was Molly Jones of Sustainable Princeton spoke about what they were doing then. about sustainability and a climate action plan.
Wow.
Well, what I will do, because we got the stormwater thing off our plate, I will look at ANJEC, because it's in the ANJEC handbook. I'll see what they say about it. And then I will go find Princeton's and read it and report back in February.
Excellent. All right. I don't see any underground utilities here. That's pretty much.
Nope, we're not going. No, we're not going line by line, Walter.
No.
I already talked about it. That I've contacted Bob Smith, asking him about a study.
Yeah.
Following up on Upendra's recommendation, and let's see what Bob Smith says. I already did mention that.
Okay. It's very interesting that I saw in the local press that Bob Smith and someone else had was initiating a major initiative out of environmental type, and I don't remember what it is, but I'll be more specific.
Walter, it's about solar panels.
Yeah.
And solar panels on agricultural land.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the issue actually that I got involved with New Jersey Conservation Foundation about when he was proposing extensive expansion of solar panels on agricultural lands, and pushback got it limited to a study in Salem County. And there is a proposed project, a very large solar panel project on agricultural land in Salem County, which I think NJCF and others are fighting. I would, it's a matter of a contest between two goods, and I would think that the best
double dipping.
restrict solar panels to less than prime agricultural land. And I think that's what the push is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
As someone who has solar panels that produce over 100% of our electrical needs on a farm, there's tons of outbuildings that could be utilized that probably don't get utilized. So it doesn't necessarily have to take up actual cropland.
Arable land. Yeah.
Well, it's like a community solar. You can essentially extend the area of solar coverage above and beyond your property needs.
Actually, there is a law saying that on preserved farmland, you can have solar cells only to meet the needs of the farm plus 10%, which is really just sort of a margin of error.
We're at exactly 110%.
And you are not tapping even into the actual land, agricultural.
Yeah, we're not. It's not even, and our house doesn't even have them. We have it
on a barn.
Three of our 4 outbuilt, actually 5 outbuilt.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can have it on buildings that are excluded from the preservation.
Okay, good. All right. So does that, we have all the updates now? Yep. Do we want to open to the public again?
No, nobody's there.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor, let it know. I say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, wonderful. Thank you.